Hi. Traveling the world as a staffing executive, I could not believe how often I ran into the exact same issue when it came to gross margin. Everyone wants to get their margin up, but nobody really does it the same way, and no one has really grasped into the basic fundamentals of margin. Now, I know you know this, but in order to increase your gross margin, you need to do one of two things. Obviously, you need to increase your bill rate, or you need to lower your pay rate. You can do either of these to accomplish your goal. So many people just focus on one or the other, and normally it's on the client pricing. The game plan in margin is to maximize your spread, of course. You do that by increasing your bill rate, getting the highest you can based upon that job order. You'll have to price it differently, of course, depending upon whether there's volume, how late in the game it is, whether they're even interviewing your candidate. For example, if they interview your candidate, you should always go in with a higher quote. Why? Because once they interview someone and pick them, the price will become less sensitive. So make sure that you are always quoting prices higher when people interview. So on the flip side, on the candidate side, you want to pay as low as you can and get away with it. The interesting thing about margin in a recession is that the industry gets crushed. Why? Obviously, the clients push you down on your pricing and on your bill rate, and naturally, we acquiesce because we don't want to lose business. But on the candidate side, they're not going to come to you. They don't walk over and say, hey, you know what, I've read the laws of supply and demand and economics, and I think I shouldn't be getting paid as much because supply is much less, and the demand, of course, is lower. Or supply on the candidate side is more, but supply of job orders is lower. So you need to do it. You need to lower the pay rate in accordance with the market, and it takes discipline. Now, a couple of things that I've noticed across the world. One, I've noticed that people constantly pay the candidate almost exactly what they asked for during the interview. Now, that's crazy because what you'll know if you watch other videos and trainings, you'll see that what people ask for is their wish list, not their requirement. So why do we do it? Because it's simple and it's easy to do. You need to stretch the spec and you need to pay lower. What else I notice is that we tend to pay people exactly what they got on their last job with us if we put them out on assignment. Isn't that crazy? In many examples, someone came in and said, for example, they'll work for, I don't know, $13 an hour. But on one job, we had to put them out at $15 an hour because that was the contracted rate, or that's what other people were going out at, or boy, this person had to, pay an extra toll. They had to commute further. And because of that, they insisted on $2 an hour more. Okay, so we paid it. But we never go back. So they get 15 for the next job, even if it's around the corner from them, even if the market has changed and the demand has dried up. My point is obvious, but it's very simple. You need to look at your candidate pay rates. I challenge you after watching this video to go back and look at the different pay rates that you've given to a variety of candidates and try to figure out why you did it. You will see some themes in your individual habits. If you're a manager, do it. You're going to see themes that will blow your mind. You'll see one person constantly pays what they ask for, constantly pays the same on every single job. Okay, it's okay to pay people differently, even if they're on the same assignment. Okay, why? People have different skills. They bring different things to the table. Maybe they'll have a lower learning curve. Maybe they don't have the education or the industry fit. It's okay to do it. So maximize your bill rate and minimize your pay rate. If you do this, you'll be in great shape. There's plenty of other tricks, and I'm sure you've heard of them, but why not carve off 10 cents on the dollar, a nickel, 20 cents on the dollar? I still can't believe how consistently our industry pays on even dollar amounts or charges on even dollar amounts. The good news is if you get a client to agree to, let's say, a $25 an hour bill rate, they're not going to scoff too much if it comes in finally at $25, $15. And a candidate who said their rock bottom is $10 an hour, or let's go back to the $13 an hour, they're not going to come back if you say fine and you can't get them lower. And they come back and you say, hey, you know what? I got the great job opportunity for you. It matches X, Y, and Z. It's a great long-term assignment. But you know what? It only pays $12.85. Come on. They're going to do it, which is why you need to make sure that you are constantly pricing and billing your job orders at off-dollar amounts. It adds up to a tremendous amount of margin that you can use later. If you're a manager out there, insist on it. You will find that it's hard work, that people naturally don't want to do it, but you got to break the habit. The final tip I want to give you on margin relates to markup. And you know what? Markup is strictly a mathematical calculation. It isn't a methodology for pricing or paying. Which one do you do? Do you get a bill rate and then divide by a markup to come up with the appropriate pay rate? Therefore, all of your work orders are pretty much exactly the same? Or do you do it the other way around? You find the candidate that you have on the job, you know a markup that you want to apply, and then you multiply to come up with the bill rate. So many of you do that. Markup is a barometer. It's a thermometer. It's supposed to give you an idea of how you did. When it's all over, you should never consider margin in the beginning. You should look at the bill rate and focus on maximizing it based on all of those criteria, some of which we discussed. And then you look at the candidate side and you try to minimize it based on the criteria. Then when you're done, do the math. Look at what kind of margin you have and look at your markup. And then it will tell you something. If it seems really high, go back and see maybe you are pricing it too high. Maybe you're paying it too low. Maybe not. You need the high margin of markups when you can get it anyway to pay for some of the ones where you can't. And I think some of you might have some difficult times getting high margins all the time, right? So again, you just do it after the fact. All right, these are just some quick tips. There'll be a lot more training on my future website to come out. Enjoy, and like always, sell like the wind and carpe diem.